setting. So the National College for Educational Leadership quickly recognized that. We recognized the challenge, and we knew that our principals needed more than empowerment. They needed more than a webinar. They needed more than a Zoom conversation. Okay. They needed something that was sustainable, something that was specific, something that was focused in order for them to move ahead and ensure the quality teaching and learning that they ought to. And so that is how the course was birthed. We recognized that principals needed to understand the different online spaces, understand the different virtual learning environments. We recognize that their technical, their cognitive capabilities needed to be developed so that they could lead in an online setting. And we recognize that they had to manage ministry's obligations. How do you manage ministry's obligations and support professional development with your teachers and manage students and staff without understanding exactly how remote learning works? And that is how we designed the Virtual Instructional Leadership course to respond to these demands. We knew, Mr. Vaughn, that we needed to communicate with them because we value social dialogue. And so we did a survey across 3,000 school leaders in Jamaica, inclusive of our private schools. We have our beautiful representative here, our early childhood institutions, and all our other public institutions. And so we got feedback from our school leaders in terms of what is it that they want right now. What can we do for them right now that will help them to move into this new era? And so the Virtual Instructional Leadership course was birthed. We are proud to say now that our principals can make educated decisions about what kind of virtual learning platform to use. Our principals can sufficiently and effectively navigate. They know about the collaborative tools. They know about the assessment tools. More importantly, they know about the old concept of Maslow before Bloom, leading with care during this time and beyond our crisis that we're now experiencing. So we're very, very pleased about this course. It has 7 modules. It's nestled in the Ignito platform at the National College for Educational Leadership. It's open to all our principals and vice principals, and we have already, I'm proud to say, we have already given it to over 1,000 principals. We have cohorts 6 to 10 now engaged. They end on Monday at 11:59. We had a pilot group, and we had an initial group of 500, and the feedback is nothing short of amazing. Right, so they have been telling us, Mr. Vaughn, that they have been using the strategies. They are showing us how they can scale up all that they have used across various grade levels, and they are designing their sustainability plan, because we have to understand that COVID or the effects thereof, those are going nowhere. So how do we manage beyond this time? So I'm very, very pleased to be sharing, and just to hear from our principals who have experienced it for themselves is heartwarming.
I can hear the passion going on with which you deliver this. I can only hope that if the course is delivered with such passion, I'm definitely sure the teachers will benefit. All right, with that said,
well, Mr. Vaughn, the course is asynchronous, so that the individuals can go on at any time. It is self-paced, so you don't necessarily have an instructor that's there with you. So the learning materials are sequenced. They have videos, local videos. They have international videos. They have critical reading material that's specific to what they're going through now. They have quizzes. They have animations. I mean, it is just a whole just a plethora of different approaches so that they can be fully engaged. Yes.
All right. So, all right. Well, with that said, I'm going to throw to our teacher participants so we can get their sense of it. I mean, I hear the passion from you, and we'd like to hear it from the people themselves to let the persons know that this is legit. This is not something that's already come up. It's a detailed and well thought out course to ensure that people at the end of it will be able to truly deliver to their students. So I'm going to jump to you, Ms. McKenzie, to talk to me about your experience and what has been like. First of all, before I even go there, talk to me about how you have been managing during this COVID-19 situation and how you have been able to still maintain with the students. And then from there, talk to me about how the course has given you the tools necessary to proceed.
Hi, thank you for having me, Mr. Vaughn. Private schools in Jamaica now are having a lot of challenges. We're really struggling, to say the least, and struggling because we have to keep up with the changes that are required of us to not only preparing to reopen to operate come September. But we have to keep up and mobilize with way less resources than what our public schools would have. And that's because we're self-funded. For those of us that operate only based on tuition fees,
right,
we would have been significantly impacted since school closed in March, because many of us would not have at that date even collected the fees that would have been due from January of this year. So we're closing down with outstanding fees and then having to reopen online without the collection of our fees or even all of them. So we had to mobilize quickly. At the Heinz Simonitsch school, we took the approach to jump into policy implementation. So we created a policy for the closure of school and for our distance learning program. We were able to mobilize various sectors of the school the following Monday. So our students would not have been disenfranchised, and so that we could have used those last 3 weeks of the Easter term 2020 to prove to our parents that the investment for the upcoming term starting in April would have been worth it, that we would have been worth the spend. And we also committed that we would not have compromised what we would have committed to on our academic calendar. So we maintained our activities, we maintained our testing online, we maintained our exams to ensure quality delivery, because for private school, the conversation shifts to value delivery and quality assurance. So we had to take that approach as a business, as a school, to ensure that our customers were getting what they were paying for.
All right, and over to you now, Mr. Edwards. I want to talk to you about what's been like. Ms. McKenzie shared what was happening in the private school setting. Talk to me about the public school and what your experience has been with COVID and dealing with it and the kind of challenges it presented, and consequently how you were able to utilize the skills in the course to be able to move forward.
All right, thank you so very much for having me, Mr. Davis, and good afternoon again to Dr. Ingleton and Ms. McKenzie. Indeed, COVID-19 would have pushed us to uncharted waters. I'm from rural Trelawney. Albertown High School is a school that I actually head at this moment. And when we learned of the closure, of course, we were concerned as to how we would engage our students, knowing that a number of them do not have the necessary devices, etc., to engage in online learning. However, we made our efforts and we managed to have at least 70% of our students engaged. We are not at 100%, but we still believe that 70% is reasonable considering the area that we actually occupy. So we have managed to engage them via different online platforms, in particular Schoology, Google Classroom, the affordabilities of WhatsApp. So we have been engaging our students since March 16 to today. We intend to close the online classes on Friday. The experience has been a learning one for us because it has pushed us to really take on this business of online learning in a more serious manner. There are teachers who perhaps never did anything online before, but now it would have required them to get on board, and we have been making the transition. The truth is, when I learned of the Virtual Instructional Leadership course in particular, I thought it was a little overwhelming to take on something with the challenges that COVID presented. But having experienced the learning, having gone through the experience, I can only say it has been a phenomenal one. The passion with which Dr. Ingleton spoke is the passion with which the NCEL team created the course. And every single thing that you heard her say was actually delivered in the course itself. It was very engaging. It started to really give us hope to understand that COVID is here and we are not alone. This is a course that will help us to understand that there are tools to assist in managing the online environment and being able to do so in a very reasonable manner. So the experience has been quite fulfilling.
Okay, Dr. Ingleton, Mr. Edwards just touched on it briefly. He mentioned that for many persons, making the transition to be able to use technology or rely so heavily on technology after this pandemic hit and so on would have been a challenge, would have been a hurdle for many, would have been used to the chalk and talk approach, standing in front of the students and so on. So Talk to me about how you were able to craft the course with that in mind to ensure that persons would still be able to take advantage of the course, even if they were, new to the technology game. I think you have to unmute your mic. I'm not hearing you. Right. You're mute again.
Thank you so much for that question, Mr. Vaughn. Indeed, it has been and still is a challenge for many of our school leaders. And so the survey that we did with them, we were very much aware of our participants and what to expect. And so the first thing that we did was to ensure that the learning management system, that the Ignito platform, that it was user-friendly. So that was the first thing we ensured, that the way that it was navigated, in terms of the aesthetics of it, because we wanted to ensure that we kept their interest. So it was designed to ensure that it was user-friendly, that it was beautiful to navigate, and that it was interactive. The second thing that we did, we created what we refer to as course support managers, and I'm sure Ms. McKenzie can speak about that a little bit more. So we had all our principals accessing the course in a WhatsApp group, and we had course support managers managing that group. So as soon as they had a technical difficulty, our course support managers would just jump in and deal with them right there. So we had our systems administrator who was on call for 24 hours. We had our quality assurance manager who was on call, and we had our other officers in the college who were nestled within the group. So when our principals would respond to us and say, I can't get on, I have a difficulty moving from one module to the next, I'm seeing a message here that I don't understand, we were able to respond to them immediately, because we know that not all our school leaders are at the place that we want them to be in terms of the technology. So we kept them engaged and held their hands right through the program, right through the process. What we have also done, Mr. Vaughn, because we want to ensure that this level of technology, that it grows, that it improves, we are nestling all our courses online. So they're either going to be asynchronous or synchronous, blended approaches. Everything is now going to be online. So our leaders are essentially forced to manage in this era. Anything in cell, you're going to have a username, you're going to have a password, you're going to have to navigate the learning management system in Ignito in order to get through. And we are consistent in our approaches. We're keeping it at a very high level because we want them to learn and grow in that regard. They are our constituents. We were created to serve them, and we're doing everything that we can to ensure that they're at their best.
All right, Mr. McKenzie, Miss McKenzie, Mr. Edwards, was it a hard sell? For me, I'm just imagining, the teacher who is, up in age 50, 60, thereabouts, and COVID hits, can't stand up in the classroom. Was it a hard sell to get persons to appreciate the importance of taking advantage of this technical and knowing that this is the new normal, this is the way forward, so whether or not technology is dragging them kicking and screaming into the 21st century? How did you manage selling it to them and letting them understand that this is how we have to proceed from now on?
Let me say this. Times changed, and it changed overnight. Exactly. And I think everyone within education was ready to jump on board for the benefit of our stakeholders. What I appreciated with the Virtual Instructional Leadership course was the fact that the content was relevant. Immediately when our school closed, I took the decision to sign up for an online course. It was a 10-week program with an international university and an Ivy League university, and it was at great cost, but I thought it was necessary. Mm-hmm. And when I saw what NCEL rolled with, I jumped from that course to NCEL. I actually deferred because I found where the content with NCEL was relatable to the context in which we operate. And so while we needed to access information, I needed to access information and training that would positively impact in a timely manner the school that I'm operating. And impact, I would say, would be the running theme from NCEL. When we completed that program and left with the skills to now apply into our business, I was able to further get support from the NCEL team, because when I reached out to them and I said to them, you gave us these strategies, I think I'm implementing, can you come into our school and tell me where the gaps are, assess me, tell me what it is that we need to improve on. They never told me they'll think about it. They never told me they'll get back to me in 3 weeks. The next day, Dr. Ingleton showed up on my campus with her team. The next day, they were here to provide the hands-on support. And it's that sort of community support that you get as a principal, and especially as a private school operator. That is what we need now to propel us forward. It's that on-time leadership and execution that will make the difference for us.
Okay, Mr. Edwards, how was it for you? I mean, we know that public schools face a little bit more challenges, especially, you know, with the more diverse backgrounds that a lot of the teachers come in with and so on. So how was it for you selling the idea that technology is the way forward right about now, and in order to make sure that the students, the children, still benefit from the kind of instruction that they need?
It wasn't a difficult process because most of our teachers are parents themselves, and so they had their children at home. And I'm sure they would have expected some engagement to happen with their children. So everybody realized that they had to play their parts. So it wasn't a hard process to get by. What I know is that there were some who were already advanced with certain platforms such as Google Classroom and Schoology. Because I have staff members across different age groups. So the younger set of teachers were well advanced in those areas, but the others chose WhatsApp as their platform for starters, but gradually moved to other platforms as they became more educated. But to just answer the question, it wasn't a difficult process to get them on board, because we all understood that it was a new norm. The children needed to engage, and we had to do our part, because that is what great leaders do. We have to rise to the challenges as presented by the COVID-19 crisis.
All right.
I just wanted to share with you. I took there with school reopening in September, and I'm sure many principals will agree. Many of us are even now preparing to have an aspect of our school remain online, because we can't re-administer our program as we did, or even create the space for everyone to re-enter our campus. And I can tell you that one of the platforms that we continue to study and will be pulling largely from is NCEL, because they rolled a program that was responsive to the needs and satisfy the demands of their stakeholders. And we're now preparing an online program for Heinz that will be off campus and will facilitate the same asynchronous and synchronous learning style that we learned with NCEL. So the content and even the dispensation of it is transferable, that many of us will consider using for ourselves.
All right. Dr. Ingleton, one of the things I understand based on what I was reading is that you do make allowances for special needs schools as well, persons, you know, because it is, you know, even greater challenge to sometimes to provide instruction to children who have special needs and special requirements. So how does the course assist instructors, administrators, and so on to do that?
Yes, thank you so much again, Mr. Vaughn, for that. We are steeped into inclusion, inclusivity. And so we recognize that we had to privilege certain population segments. We have our principals who are deaf in the system. And for sure, we have at least 6 or 7 of them who are just special needs school leaders. And we had to ensure that the platform and whatever it is that we're designing would respond to them. So for our local videos, we had the sign language embedded in it. So we had someone signing whilst they were watching the video, so that was embedded in the actual taping. We had closed caption for our international videos. We also had for our reading materials, we had the audio. So just for those who could not see, or they learn more by listening, we had the audio versions for all our reading materials. When we're having our Zoom meetings as well, once we are aware that a principal with special needs is on the meeting, we make sure to get an individual to sign so that they could be focused and really learning as we're going along. Because we're steeped into inclusivity, we cannot operate an education system anymore with only those who are fully able. We have to ensure that all our learners, all our leaders are on board, and every single thing that we're designing from here on out, will be so equipped so that all our learners can benefit. And that's something that we're very proud of. Our child-friendly schools program is also another one that we rolled out long before COVID, and that program is really steeped into inclusivity, you know, and ensuring that special needs students and special needs leaders and learners are heard. They have a voice, they have a place, and they're recognized as making a contribution to the education system as well.
So if I'm a teacher or an administrator, somebody in a school situation, or I'm hearing about this course sounds good, how many millions am I going to have to shell out to come and do the course now?
I let Miss McKenzie and Mr. Edwards tell you how much they really had to pay to do this course. I let them speak about that.
Okay, go ahead, Fami. How many millions?
Mr. David, maybe we should have paid. We should have paid anywhere in the region of $500,000 for the course. However, we were not required to pay a cent. And the truth is, you would be thinking that your time would be the cost, but the level of engagement and how enticing the course was, you really didn't feel like you were giving your time idly. It was well worth it. So MCEL really did an excellent job with this course. It's my second course with MCEL, and I can tell you this one was just extremely good. And I'm really pleased with the performance of the team. As Dr. Ingleton said, they were very accommodative and very supportive. You could get them any time of day for whatever problem you would have had with the platform. And that's really good. That shows strong leadership that seeks to address the needs, the present needs. And that is what the Virtual Instructional Leadership course did, especially in this time of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Miss McKenzie, your turn. Talk to me now. I mean, it seems like you got more than value for money.
It was, and I can tell you, not only was it impactful, but it created a space where as school leaders, we had a safe space to ask, to get help, and to really get support on the challenges that were unique to us. Because one of the things I think sometimes we tend to forget, or stakeholders tend to forget, is that we are people too. We have our own personal challenges, we have our own families, and when our schools hurt, we hurt in a very different way. And so MCEL provided us with the support, and I think the encouragement that we needed to reboot. Our program ended with us getting a reboot. And I've taken that approach in my own teaching community, where our staff now have to get a reboot every week, 10 minutes before our meeting, because we have to look at the personal aspects, the person behind even the camera, the person behind the school, and the persons leading our classroom. And I can tell you, while it may have been time consuming, it really built us and rejuvenated us in a very different way. One that was so relevant that I'm now planning for reopening, excited and forcing now new ideas to be relevant for my students. So the burden has been lifted. We've been supported with a way forward and implementation strategies. So it's now just to get it done. And Dr. Ingleton, I mean, she has allowed a space to continue for learning. I was in a pilot group, and I'm still in contact with MCEL. I'm still reaching out. I'm still bouncing ideas from them. And you could never tell that there are other cohorts that are online that they're catering for, because they are responsive. So it's something that we can model and bring across in our own institution. So it was absolutely excellent.
Let me quickly show some love to people online, because we're getting a couple of questions. I'll just pass them on to you. Sharika Wilson, thank you, Sharika, for your question. She's asking, can principals still apply to benefit from this course? And V. Niece is asking if it's only available to principals.
So the Virtual Instructional Leadership course was created specifically for principals and vice principals, based on what the course is dealing with and the different decisions that you're going to have to make at that level. However, what we're doing right now, we're prioritizing our school leaders, and there is serious consideration for the other segments of schools, like our heads of departments or grade coordinators or deans of disciplines. We have 3,000 school leaders across the system, early childhood or private institutions and our public schools. The aim at the National College right now is to prioritize our 3,000, get them all on board with the BIL, and then we will roll out to our other stakeholders. So that's the focus right now. We are about 1,100, and by mid-July we'll be at another 500. The goal is to get them all out before September. And once we do that, we can open up our platform to our other school leaders. But right now, the priority is our principals and vice principals. Okay. But Mr. Vaughn, we do have other learning products for our middle leaders. We have our child-friendly schools product. We have our inclusive school leadership training program for them. We have our aspiring principals program for them. We have so many learning products, and we are not finished with Principal McKenzie should tell you that we're coming to her tomorrow, because we are in the middle right now of the design of our newest learning product, the 3R framework for emerging from COVID. So we're going to be looking at how we regroup, how we recondition, and how we rebuild, because we have to prioritize the legitimacy, right, and the longevity of distance learning. It's not going anywhere. So everything that we're doing has to be nestled in an online or a remote space to ensure that our principals are fully equipped to lead today and beyond.
All right, so for those of you just tuning in, because you know persons tuning at varying times, right here talking about the virtual instruction course being offered by the National College for Educational Leadership. That's how it's the course designed to help school administrators, leaders map a way forward as they grapple with the COVID-19 pandemic and all the various changes that it has forced us to come to terms with. That means, you know, understanding how your teachers get in touch with digital learning platforms, how we position the students, how we do so many different things to make sure that the children get the best education possible, despite all the challenges that are presenting. Now, I'm going to switch back to two principals one more time, Ms. McKenzie and Mr. Edwards. I want it for the students who are coming in because they haven't been at school in months. When they get to school in September, what is school going to look like based on everything that you have gone through with the training course? And so what's school going to look like? Because that might give them and give parents online an idea of what school is going to look like come September for their children, even though they might not be attending your schools. What is school going to look like when they get there in September?
I'll tell you this. One of the strategies we learned with this course was to start now and to start where you are. And so that's a great question. And we've started to answer that question by doing video simulation and to show the parents what we are doing so far to get our community encouraged. So we've had to separate our students. We had to implement physical distancing to manage seating and even contact. And so what we have started to do is to post on all of our social media pages what we have been doing and what we look like so far. So that way, when the students and the parents and even some of our teachers return, it's not starting from scratch and it's not all new, because you'd have been sharing in this process with us as we have been tweaking and even retweaking. So it's an ongoing process for many of us, and we share and engage online starting now.
All right, Mr. Edwards, over to you. What's school going to look like at Albertone for the students coming in September?
All right. The Virtual Instructional Leadership course culminated with a blueprint document that we needed to prepare. Really, it was an action plan toward engaging learners online. And this really has pitched us in the right way, because since then, we have been required to engage our fifth form students at school. As you know, they have been back with us since June 8th. And so we have really used them as the guinea pig, so to say, to explore where we think we will have to go in September. A blended approach, which will see face-to-face matched with online engagement for our students, because based on our numbers, it is clear that we will not be able to have all the students at school face-to-face learning at the same time. So what we're presently exploring is having a set of students come in for a certain number of days, and for those days that they will be home, they will be engaged online. So this new norm is real. As Dr. Ingleton said, online learning is here. It is going nowhere. And so the experience of the course really allowed me personally to get the ball rolling. I have since done the plan that NCL required, and this has really pivoted to the school reopening plan that schools are required to do, submit tomorrow to the Ministry of Education, outlining every single detail as to how school will be in September, our sanitization plan, our exit and entry protocol, the modality that we will choose and why, what about the resources that we will be requiring, and so on. So it is really, it requires a lot to plan for, but I think those of us who start now will be in a much better position come September.
All right, lovely. Two quick questions online. Well, one from Sharika Wilson saying, sounds great. How long would this course run for? And quickly, Fabu Rich says, I'm proud of the work you are doing. So you're getting some kudos and some big ups from the people online. Well, quickly, you mentioned before that it is at their own pace, but in a general kind of way, how long does one really spend? You know, how long would you say the course content is, or the volume of information that people have to digest?
Okay, beautiful. The course is really designed to last for 14 hours. That is, under normal circumstances, lock yourself down, not moving at all. It would be 14 hours, but we do give our principals 12 to 14 days to complete. So over 12, 14 days, almost 2 weeks, they can log on at whatever time they want. They can be on a bus and they can be listening to the audio. If they're traveling all the way to Montego Bay, perhaps on a Knutsford Express, they can be doing the course. They can be at the beach with their family on a Saturday and they're sitting on their lounge chair and they're working through the course. They can be in the kitchen cooking and they're working through the course. So we made it so because we recognize that this COVID pandemic has affected us all. And there are certain things that we have to prioritize. So we wanted to make it easy for them. We wanted to make it quick, but we also wanted to make it meaningful. And so that's how it's designed. Will it be open? The VIL will always be nestled on the Ignito platform. We have to manage the way it is accessed because as our principals indicated, we have to provide them with the requisite support that they would need in terms of its navigation. And so eventually, if Principal McKenzie wants to go back after we have exhausted all our school leaders, the course will be there so individuals can make reference. But at this time, it's open for you to access. You access, we close, and then we open for another group. But when we're talking about sustainability, Mr. Vaughn, this will always be there. We're talking about scalability. We can add to this course. So let's say we have another pandemic of another nature. We can just add to this course to make it relevant to that particular pandemic. You know, we can add videos. We can change learning materials. If there are changes in policy at the Ministry of Education, we can update the course to reflect those changes. So that is the kind of learning that NCL is offering. Efficiency, convenience, scalability, right? Sustainability for our school leaders.
All right. Sister Nat Mac saying, Dr. Ingleton, I must applaud you and your team. This is great work. So the comments coming in there endorsing all the work that you're doing. So keep it up. Well, just to be clear again, how can persons get, if they're hearing, they're within the hearing of my voice, your voice, they want to get in touch with you to get to be a part of this program going forward? How do they do so?
All they have, you're hearing me now?
Yeah,
yes, all they have to do is go to the NCL website, ncl.gov.jm. That's our website. Once you go on our website, you will see Virtual Instructional Leadership course, apply here, and you click on that and it will take you to a particular link that you'll fill out an application form. If you're having challenges with that, we provide the numbers of our course support managers. Our chief course support manager is Miss Sutana Hemans. I must use this opportunity to let everybody know how much of a great job she's doing. And she can be reached at her CUG 485-6990, just in case we're having any challenges in terms of application. You know, so I really have to take the opportunity, I cannot let it pass, to really speak about the team at the National College for Educational Leadership. The design of this course, we didn't employ consultants. This is our own technical expertise. This is our skills and competencies. We pulled the team together. We have our chief course designer, Dr. Cheryl McLaughlin, our director of programs, who was instrumental in the design of this course. All our program managers, all our program administrators, our quality assurance department, our communications department, and our IT department, we came together and we designed this beautiful product, as well as all the other products that we have at NCL. It is free, and the reason why it's free is because it's fully funded by the United Nations Education Funds, that's UNICEF. Really want to make a shout out to Dr. Rebecca Portello for all the financial support that she would have provided us, and all the technical support in terms of resources and just different platforms that we could navigate to create what we now have. And so this really was a team effort, and I want to thank the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information for allowing us and providing the autonomy for us to be able to do this and do this so efficiently. So it was really a team effort, and I just want to thank my team at NCL, the greatest team of all time. I'm telling you, I don't know that you can find a better team, right? Ms. McKenzie and Principal Edwards, you know that. Really, really want to give them all the accolades that they deserve, and to let them know that, you know, we are who we are because of the harmony of this team. And we want to spread that right across the education system. So,
all right. As we bring things down to a close, I'm going to give Ms. McKenzie and Mr. Edwards a chance to just plug the course one more time to all those teachers who might be sitting on the fence out there wondering, maybe I go, maybe I don't, maybe I might have things under control already. Well, we need to go call NCL and go bad up myself a techno online course. Why should they make the decision to go forward? I would say to all of my
colleagues, I would say to all principals and school leaders that this is a community that you would want to be a part of. This is a resource that you need to tap into to take your school to the next level. Online learning is now what we will have to take on as a sector completely. And I would say to our teachers that now is the time for us to access online support systems, access resources and other colleagues that will give you the encouragement, the training, the skill support to meet the needs of our students online, because together, it's only together that we'll be able to survive.
All right, Mr. Edwards, over to you. What do you have to say to those principals sitting on the fence, not sure whether or not they should take part in this course?
The truth is, as administrators, we are required to be lifelong learners. We are required to be up to date with what is happening. And I believe you'll offer your best leadership when you are so inclined. Now, the NCL program, the Virtual Instructional Leadership program, is really timely, very, very relevant, and it is something that I believe will adequately arm school leaders to take on the challenges that may come with the resumption of school in September. It's something that it's not one of those courses where you just go and it is just theory-based and you feel as if it's just another thing to that NCL or any other entity wants to put out to just get principals to just do something. This says we understand the need, we understand the fact that we must be equipped to meet the challenges that are likely to come, and NCL really made that happen for us. So if you're sitting on the fence wondering what to do, get on board. I am telling you from where I sit as a principal of a rural school in Jamaica. It was worth it, and I'm just looking forward to other products that NCL will offer. And again, Dr. Ingleton, thank you so very much. And I wanted to also thank the team on behalf of all the participants of cohort 2 and all the other cohorts that were involved in the last running of the book.
All right, as I bring things down to a close, last thing I'm going to ask you to do, Dr. Ingleton, is just run through again some of the different topics that are explored in the course so persons can get familiar again.
Okay, certainly. Thank you so much. So the course has 7 modules. The first one is Leading with Care, Maslow Before Bloom. That is the course that will help you to prioritize the psychosocial support, that social and emotional learning, that reaching out to other individuals and understanding that we can't be demanding things from our school leaders, from our students, and even from ourselves before we find out what's really happening to us in terms of our emotional well-being. right? So that's the first module, leading with care, Maslow before Bloom. Then we scaffold, we sequence, we move into Module 2, which is the fourth industrial revolution, or understanding the fourth industrial revolution. And that particular module will help our principals to recognize the various things that we need to have in our schools, the different, the way that education is going now, and what are the policies that we need to create to ensure that we're really in line with what's taking place with the fourth industrial revolution. And then we move on to our module 3, which is virtual learning environments. And this particular module helps our principals to explore the various learning platforms, such as the Moodle, the Edmodo, the Schoology, Google Classroom, the entire Google suite, so that they can make educated decisions about the different learning platforms that they may want for their schools. We also move into what we call creating e-learning experiences, looking at social platforms. So what are these in terms of the Edmodo distance learning toolkit, the different collaborative tools, the different assessment tools? How do you log in? How do you create an account? How do you navigate a platform? That is what that module will teach you how to do. And then we move on to the collaborative tools also, which is dealing with our cloud storage or virtual professional learning spaces, the VPLCs. We're looking at our Skypes or our Microsoft Team meetings, and just all those digital tools that will enhance administrative duties from distance. We have our module called Managing Remote Teams, and this one is we got a really high commendation in terms of our feedback from our participants. How do you stay at home and manage school? You know, how do you ensure that teachers are accountable? How do you create accountability frameworks and sustainability plans and ensure that lessons are still delivered and delivered at the highest quality? So all of those things are nestled in this particular course. Our principals walk away with different tools. They walk away with the e-management system that was designed by the Ministry of Education. They walk away with survey instruments. They walk away with a blueprint for creating that e-infrastructure and managing that e-school. You know, and so this course is not only speaking about the online learning, but just learning from a distance. So you will see videos on correspondence learning. How do you operate with drop-off? So some of our students don't have access to the internet, but we can package the learning material and we can drop those off at various locations. You know, we featured articles about teachers who would have gone into communities to do lessons via community notice boards. So there are different things that you can do to ensure that at the end of the day, you're prioritizing quality teaching and learning. That big sustainable development goal number 4 can never be circumvented, cannot be negotiated, regardless of the COVID pandemic. And that is what the Virtual Instructional Leadership course was designed to do.
Okay, great. One quick question here. Sharika Wilson is asking, will participants be certified at the end? Just quickly.
Yes, participants are certified by the United Nations Children's Fund, that's UNICEF, and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. So our partner, external international partner, is fully on board with us, fully endorsed, and I just want to make a plug again to say how grateful we are for Dr. Rebecca Tortello, Ms. Mariko Kagoshima, the country director at UNICEF, who have provided us with all the funds that we need, as well as technical expertise to design this course.
All right, so just before we go, I'm just going to swell your head a little bit more, Dr. Ingleton, from Nicola Barker saying this lady is the best, always excited about the courses that NCEL is delivering to us educational leaders. Big up, Dr. Ingleton. And Alcy Allian says, just joining, I think the Zoom works great for the children, arrange themselves to join in class based on a scheduled class time. So I think she's getting into the idea of distance education, especially through Zoom. And Terry James is saying, excellent work, Dr. Ingleton, and your wonderful team. You are simply the best. Much blessings. VIL, beautiful resource. All right.
Thank you.
So,
can I just thank Principal McKenzie and Principal Edwards? They are so awesome. They're awesome individuals. Principal Edwards from cohort 2 and Principal McKenzie from our pilot cohort. They've been doing a great job in their schools. Individuals who are respected across the system. And we just want them to know that we're always going to be here to support them. Thank you so much,
Wonderful. All right. So, guys, I think you have preached a good gospel today about the value and the benefit of virtual instruction. So I hope this translates into more persons coming on and taking this course. And hopefully it translates, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about our children and making sure they get the best instruction possible. So I'm glad to know that there's a course like this available. I'm glad to know that people are actively taking advantage of it, and they're actually growing and developing and equipping themselves with the skills they need to make sure our children get the best possible education. Thank you all for joining us. It's been a wonderful thing. Now, thanks to everyone who tuned in to our discussion, especially those of you who sent in your questions and your comments. We really appreciate it. This is your show. We give you the chance to talk to the technocrats so you can hear from them and get answers to your questions. And if you have a question and we didn't answer it, not to worry. We'll be going through afterwards and we'll be able to get you the right information, or if necessary, put you in contact with Dr. Ingleton so you can move forward. Right? Remember, our audience plays a major part in our show. So if there's anyone in particular you'd like us to have in studio, let us know, and we'll try our best to have that person in studio as soon as possible. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Jamaica Information Service to see who will be in studio next.